what is an API? So API is it's an application programming interface. We call it as a set of rules and endpoint that allow one software application to communicate with the other software. In a simple language, if we say it's a messenger which take the request from the client and send it to the server and get back the response from the server and give it to the client, so that it helps to complete the communication for the client and server. In a simple example, if you say, suppose you go to any hotel for having very nice lunch or dinner. There you sit on the table and wait for the waiter to come, and you give order to the waiter. So here waiter is act as an interface which interact from you and the cook to understand your uh, food's requirement and go to the chef and tell him to prepare the food and bring the food and give it to you. So here waiter is nothing but a API for you. So in real world there are many different types of API which is based on the SS level. So these are the categories which is built based on the certain SS level for the user. So one is internal API. This kind of API is mostly dedicated for internal development for any organization. They build API for their internal users. And second is public API, which is also known as open API, which is accessible anywhere. For example, Google API, you can access it and utilize that Google API, and basically it's being used by many e-commerce application to track their orders. And third is partner API. This API is also very much famous, and it's also being used for serving B2B communication. It's used by one organization and interact to the with another organization. For example, Oyo is one of the famous brand company which provide the services for hotel booking. They have their partner APIs with other booking service. For example, booking.com, Yatra, MacMaTrip. They are interacting with their partners API. And last one is composite API. So composite is nothing but it's a combining the multiple APIs into a single API, so that it brings more than one API's request to for a single API request. So these all are the types of API based on the SS level. Let's move to the next. So now we have also API which is based on the architectural style, and we call it protocols. So first is REST API, which is also known as representational state transfer API. So these are APIs are more widely used and uses the HTTP methods, which is get, post, put, patch, deletes, and many other HTTP methods uses. And it send the data in the form of JSON and XML, and it has a stateless and easy implementation request. Stateless means it doesn't store the information of the request. It send each request as a fresh request, and the server respond to that each fresh request. It's basically used for web and mobile application, and it's famous example for HTTP is Google Map API, which is being used very widely used by so many peoples. Second is SOAP API, which is known as Simple Object Access Protocol, and these protocols are uses XML messaging format, and it's very much secure. So the hence it's being used by some financial organization, for example banking and other financial service is widely used this SOAP APIs. Third one is GraphQL APIs. This API is used to reduce the overhead of API calls. For example, if you want to max any complex request and get so many data from multiple resources, you create one GraphQL APIs and bring the details from multiple resources and combine into one platform. So this is called a GraphQL API. So it's being widely used by Facebook. They have developed GraphQL internally for their user so that they can, here you can see the example is given that user profiles and their last 3 posts, you can get it with a single API hits. Let's move to the fourth, which is remote procedure call APIs. So this is one of the oldest API styles, and it uses HTTP2 for higher performance, and it widely used by Google, and it's also developed by the Google only, and it's used to serve microservice communications, like one microservice communicate with the other microservice. So it's being used there. And the last one is WebSocket APIs. So this API calls are mostly used to have persistent communications, and here the data flows continuously happen and without any request, ideal for live update and real-time apps. So it's being used in many real-time chatbot communications and stock prices, online gaming, and for example you play see the cricket applications, there you get all the real-time entries of the ball commentaries you can see. So here there this WebSocket API is being implemented.